Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something that, on the surface, sounds like a total contradiction.
Right.
How does the brain, this thing that's just wired for perpetual motion, for constant input and response, how does it actively choose to be profoundly still?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not just talking about, simple relaxation here. We're talking about that deep, wakeful presence you find in meditation.
It's a genuine active restraint.
Exactly. It's a fight against the brain's own default settings.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to really unpack the mechanics of that choice, both cognitively and neurologically.
Yeah.
We're looking for the process that allows that inner narrator, the self, to just step aside.
To let that pure awareness come through.
Yes, and we have some amazing sources that kind of bridge that gap between the contemplative experience and the hard cognitive science of self-control.
And that's really the core of it. Stillness is, well, it's an achievement, a cognitive triumph even.
Because it runs counter to everything the brain normally does.
It runs directly counter to the brain's default mode. The self, as we feel it, isn't some static thing sitting in our heads.
It's a process.
A continuous self-directing process. It's constantly tracking and updating. So to be still, that process has to actively, pump the brakes on itself.
Okay, so we need to look at both sides of this. The philosophical model of who is being still.
And then the actual neural hardware that's enforcing that restraint.
Perfect. Let's start with that self model then. I mean, the philosopher Thomas Metzinger has this self-model theory of subjectivity, or SMT.
Right.
And it basically says that our idea of a little pilot inside our heads is, well, it's wrong. The self is a system model.
It's a tool, a sophisticated representation that's tracking everything about the organism as a whole.
Like where my body is, what I'm feeling, what my goals are right now.
All of it. But here's where it gets really mind-bending. The conscious self, what Metzinger calls the phenomenal self, or PSM, that emerges at the exact moment the system can no longer see that the self-model it's creating is a model.
Wait, hold on. If the system can't see it as a model, what does it see it as?
As reality. It's a feature, not a bug, of consciousness. I mean, think about watching a movie.
Okay.
You know you're looking at light on a flat screen, but your brain processes it so you feel like you're looking directly into a three-dimensional world.
You don't see the pixels, you see the scene.
You don't see the filter, you only see the result. And that's what's happening with the self.
Okay, and there's a term for this mechanism, right? Phenomenal transparency.
Exactly. The fact that it's a representation, a model, is totally hidden from your subjective experience.
Which is why we feel like we're just directly in touch with reality. And directly in command of this solid, real self.
It leads to what philosophers call naive realism. We don't feel the whirring of the computers in our head.
We just feel the world.
You just feel the world, and we feel ourselves in it. Yeah. And what's amazing is the empirical evidence we have that shows just how flexible and manipulable this model really is.
Right, like the classic rubber hand illusion. You can literally trick someone's brain into thinking a fake hand is their own, just by synchronizing what they see and what they feel.
Their whole internal map of me just shifts to include this external object. It's wild.
It is.
But what's even more powerful for showing the innate quality of this model is the work on phantom limbs.
You mean for people who are born without a limb?
Exactly, a condition called limbamelia. They were never born with, say, an arm, but they still report these vivid, detailed sensations of a phantom arm being there.
So the brain is generating the model of an arm even without any sensory input from an actual arm, ever.
It suggests the phenomenal self model has this hardwired component. The brain expends a complete body and builds the model for one anyway.
Say the brain it wants that complete model.
It needs it because having that global, coherent self-model is the key to self-control, to autonomy.
So?
The system uses this big, integrated model to organize and to enslave all the little low-level dynamics.
Like moving a muscle or keeping your balance.
All of it. And that ability, that's what the sources call second-order embodiment. It's the crucial first step to becoming a truly autonomous agent that can actually carry out complex plans.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly.
Yeah.
So if the self-model is the engine of action and control, then the path to real stillness must involve, intentionally disengaging that engine.
Or at least learning to not identify with it so strongly, which brings us right to the phenomenology of it, part 2, stillness through selfless awareness.
Right.
Now we're talking about something called minimal phenomenal experience, MPE.
MPE. And experienced meditators describe this as pure awareness or non-egoic self-awareness.
That's right. And you should think of it less as a goal you achieve and more like the quiet background hum of consciousness.
The operating system.
The operating system when you've closed all the other apps, the planning, the judging, the worrying about your identity.
So what are the actual characteristics of this state? It sounds very abstract.
Well, phenomenologically, it's defined by its simplicity. It's unstructured, that classic subject-object split me experiencing a thing, it's gone.
A zero-person perspective.
Exactly. The reports talk about this deep, unbounded silence, a crystal clarity. No mental chatter, no cognitive noise.
But it's not empty.
Not a dead, empty absence, no. It's experienced as a dynamic stillness, a kind of pure presence.
I love that phrase, dynamic stillness. It's like phenomenologically, MPE is the part of you that knows, but it never speaks.
It never makes a choice. It never acts.
It's just pure knowing, without a knower and a known.
And this actually makes perfect sense if we look at it through the lens of, say, predictive processing models of the brain.
How does that work?
Well, our normal conscious state is built on constant prediction. What's next? What should I do? What will they say?
We're always trying to get ahead of the present moment.
Always. But mindful awareness forces the brain to continuously shrink that predictive horizon.
By focusing intensely on right now.
You're starving the prediction machine. And when you do that, the system is forced to stop identifying with its usual units of identification. The things we normally latch our identity onto, our body, our emotions, that feeling of effort.
Yeah.
And most critically, the epistemic agent model.
Okay, that one is definitely technical. Break that down for us.
It's just the inner image of yourself as a knower, a thinker, the goal-oriented self.
The CEO in the corner office.
It's the CEO, exactly. The part that feels like it's in charge, making all the rational decisions. In these states of non-dual awareness, that agent is just temporarily absent.
And when the CEO is gone,
the whole structure of I am thinking about something just dissolves.
So the stillness happens because the brain isn't projecting itself into the future or clinging to an identity in the present.
Right. And instead, that state of quiet, spacious awareness, it can become the new unit of identification, a non-egoic one.
A profound disengagement.
It really is. Instead of the system asking, what should I do next? It becomes so absorbed in awareness itself that this quality of timeless change just reveals itself.
Which brings us right up against the hardware. Because it's one thing to talk about the self-dissolving conceptually.
Right.
But if stillness is active restraint, what's doing the restraining? Where is that willpower physically located in the brain?
And now we're in part 3, the neural basis of restraint.
Let's get empirical.
We shift completely to cognitive control. And the research here is, it's really consistent. Mindfulness practices produce robust, measurable benefits for what we call inhibition-related functions.
So things like cognitive control, executive function.
Exactly. And this means training very specific parts of the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center.
So when we decide to override an impulse, to choose stillness or distraction, where's that decision happening?
We're looking at a few key PFC regions. The big one is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the DLPFC.
The DLPFC.
You can think of it as the brain's stop button. It helps you override those automatic pulls of distraction or habit.
Okay.
Then you have the orbitofrontal cortex, or OFC, and the anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. They're both crucial for, monitoring for errors and guiding your behavior toward your goals.
And the choice for stillness itself must have some kind of value assigned to it in the brain.
Absolutely. That's where the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the VMPFC, comes in.
The VMPFC.
It's all about representing the subjective value of a choice, whether you're choosing between, say, money and food, or the abstract choice between stillness and another thought.
So it's constantly running a cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah.
Is this moment of peace worth more than chasing that interesting idea?
All the time. And you can see the cost of poor inhibition everywhere.
In clinical populations, for sure.
For sure. A weakening of self-control, like you see in addiction, correlates directly with impaired performance in these PFC circuits. The impulse just wins because the stop button is weaker.
But here's the good news, right? For anyone listening, these circuits are trainable.
Oh, absolutely. They're like muscles.
And that training actually lasts.
It does. Studies show mindfulness interventions don't just improve performance on inhibition tasks in the short term. Those benefits can be maintained for up to 5 months after the training stops.
So you are literally physically strengthening your brain's capacity for restraint.
You're making the choice for stillness easier and more accessible over time.
Which brings us to the synthesis, This is where the philosophical and the empirical threads really come together.
Is the key takeaway.
Stillness is not an accident. It's not passive. It's a high-level dual achievement.
That's it. It's a combination of, one, enhanced cognitive restraint, strengthening those inhibitory circuits like the DLPFC.
And two, a profound shift in self-representation.
Allowing that phenomenal self-model, that epistemic agent, to just dissolve for a moment.
So in the deepest sense, the decision to be still is actually the absence of the usual decision-maker.
Beautifully put. It's a trained skill that, with practice, starts to feel spontaneous. Effortless, even.
You're learning to create the right unconscious conditions.
So that when stillness arises, it's functionally autonomous. You didn't force it, the system just settled into a quieter, more efficient state.
And this ability to intentionally cultivate conscious states has much broader implications.
It does. It brings us to this idea of a Bewusstsein culture.
A culture of consciousness.
Right. And at its core is adopting an ethical stance toward your own mental states.
What does that mean in practice? An ethical stance toward my thoughts?
It means you consciously decide that some mental states are more valuable than others, that clarity is better than distraction, compassion is better than anger.
So it's about cultivation.
3 things, really. 1, adopting that ethical stance. 2, systematically cultivating the valuable states, like MPE. And 3, rationally bringing that into the wider culture. It means treating your inner world with the same seriousness you treat your outer actions.
So to bring this all home for you, the listener, that feeling of I am still is not just a feeling. It's linked to a highly trained, highly efficient inhibitory brain. You're training your own self-model to see through its own illusion, just for a moment, and that's made possible by strengthening your cognitive control circuits.
Stillness isn't weakness. It's not giving up. It's a cognitive triumph over the brain's noisy, restless default setting.
And that leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to take with you.
If the deepest state of consciousness we can access, this pure awareness, is defined by peace, by clarity, by an absence of inner conflict, then how does adopting that ethical stance toward your own mind, by consciously choosing to cultivate restraint and clarity moment by moment, how does that change your ability to bring that beneficial, non-egoic peace with you out of formal practice and into the middle of a busy, active, everyday life?
That's the real integration challenge.
That's the challenge.